Is this ultimately good for golf? I know there's going to be a lot of sort of loose ends that have to be tied up, and even these two entities have not decided yet how this is all going to come together. But is there a scenario in the end when the dust settles and people get through this that this is good for the game, or is there a real possibility this backfires?
I think it's all going to be good 1 year from now. This is the news cycle doing its thing, right? And again, rightfully so, these PGA Tour players who decided to stay should be mad. Feel the feelings. Your feelings are valid. Always believe in that. But then, let it ride from there, right? I think eventually all will be good. People will get along. It's going to be a little bit weird that the Saudis are going to be running the golfing world and not the PGA Tour. But that said, I think everybody will get along. Everybody's playing with each other again, which I think is good for the game. You're getting the heightened competition. Now, what I will say is I have concerns that Rory, Rahm, Tiger, these guys are going to walk away from this new golf league. They don't need the money. They're probably very angry at Jay Monahan. They're probably working their group chats right now, actually, thinking about what they can do. Remember, Tiger has a new league in 24, TGL, which is not like a PGA Tour equivalent or anything like that, but he's got things going on. So I would not be shocked if Tiger doesn't play in this thing at all. Plays in the majors and does his league, and that's it. So I do think there's a real possibility that yesterday's news wasn't unifying, but actually fracturing of the game of golf, and we'll see some breakaways from there. I would not be shocked.
It's the hypocrisy of it all, where Jay Monahan, would go on CBS. He would go on any outlet he could find and talk about the loyalty and talk about that dirty Saudi money. And here he is. He doesn't even consult the players. That's the thing. He doesn't even consult them. It's the disrespect more than anything else. Look, if they had decided to do this and had come together and said, look, I understand where we stood, but we have a lot of lawsuits. There is a way to make this work. Let's talk about it. If you're going to involve all of the golfers in the process of not making this happen, you damn sure need to involve them if you're going to change your mind and go in with Live Golf. And I just don't know how Jay Monahan can lead this group of golfers after what he pulled. And all the golfers essentially to a man have said that, unless, of course, you're in Live Golf.
Exactly. I think that now when Jay Monahan talks, do you believe what comes out of his mouth? And it's supposed to be the quote-unquote players tour. So they have put this out there that it's player-driven. They put the player first. And now they pull this type of stunt? It's really upsetting to see. Like you said, especially for the guys who, quote-unquote, remained loyal to the PGA Tour. For what? And Hideki Matsuyama turned down $300 million. This is the guy that took a Spirit Airlines flight back from one of his tournaments. He could have bought Spirit Airlines. Yes. That was a tweet that another PGA Tour golfer said yesterday. So I think it's just, you look at it from that standpoint, even though a lot of the details still need to be worked out. My husband's friends with somebody who is on the Live Tour, and he was saying something about how they might have to pay a fine of a pretty hefty fine to get back on the tour, which doesn't seem fair to me. So I think there are still some details that they need to iron out. I don't know, when they'll figure that out, because Jay Monahan's probably not going to tell us until it actually happens. But still, this was a crazy event unfolding yesterday. But bottom line, I do think it's good for golf. This is the most that golf has been talked about in a long time. And we haven't even talked about Tiger Woods. So the drama, I think, for me, is something that I really enjoy. And also the fact that we saw players on the Live Tour who were really succeeding. Because I think at the first, the PGA Tour said, okay, they're going to go the Live Tour. Those players are going to fade into irrelevancy. Wasn't the case. Brooks Koepka leading the way, winning some big tournaments, and also some other guys who've been playing pretty well. Phil Mickelson was top 5 of the Masters too. So I think there are several things that led to this, but in the end, I do think it's going to be good for the game of golf. Looks like you got something on Jamal Murray tonight. What is it?
Yes, I love Jamal Murray over 6.5 assists. Best number out there, -125 over at BetMGM. part of the Nuggets offense that's so dangerous is really the two-man game between Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. The Heat tried to take away Jokic's passing ability in Game 2, and I know Heat head coach Eric Spoelstra said that it's really just not that easy. But if Miami tries to do that again and allows Jokic to go for 40-plus like he did in Game 2, then a lot of those passes are going to come from Murray. Murray had 10 assists, 17 potential assists in Game 1, 10 assists once again in Game 2 with 22 potential assists. He also leads the Nuggets 80 passes made each game, which just kind of goes to show how much he has the ball in his hands. And I mentioned Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope shooting 3 of 12 combined in Game 2. That's likely going to improve a little bit. I don't expect Porter Jr. to struggle as much as he has in Games 1 and 2, so that'll create a couple more opportunities for Murray to add a few more dimes. So taking it at 6.5 or anything above that for some plus money, I think is a great look.
On the Miami side, you like a prop involving Bam Adebayo. What is that?
I sure do. Bam Adebayo over 7.5 boards. Adebayo's been the best Heat player in this series. Everyone looks to Jimmy Butler, and he's been fine. But what Adebayo's had to do in this series is the toughest task of anyone on the Miami Heat. Tasked with guarding Nikola Jokic, that's pretty tough. And that's what keeps him on the floor a ton. He's played 40 minutes in both games so far. That really shouldn't change. Adebayo's also averaging 11 rebounds in this series, 17.5 potential boards through 2 games. And he's also had 8 rebounds in each of his last 5 games, 17 of his last 20 postseason games. So this feels like an easy number for him to get over. I could talk you off once again, an alternate rebounding line of 9, 10, maybe do an escalator type bet for some plus money here, but I think Bam has a pretty big game on the boards. You could also, I wouldn't hate a look to parlay Murray's assists and Bam's rebounds if you want an even larger number. So just another thought there.
I've noticed something different with your tweets, because you used to say the Boston Red Sox will win the World Series. Last night, you just simply tweeted the Boston Red Sox. So it feels like you have some confidence in this team, but not as much as you used to. What's the Red Sox update?
Yeah, well, they won a game, which is good. And I never lost faith that they would win that game. The Guardians started to come back in that game, and that was scary. When it was 5-4, I was like, are you kidding me? Do not do this. They finally got a win. As Alex Cora said, we needed that win. Now they are above 500. I think, and this is in the Mets case too, maybe not so much for them last night, but if you have a 30-30 record, could be the start of really great things. I think that should be the mark of, let's go forward from there and just win every game going forward, because now they've won another game. It's just the Rays. As long as they don't have to play the Rays in any playoff scenario, I see a path to the World Series just nice and clear for them. I think Chris Sale going down was a downer. That was not good. And I think a lot of people expected that to happen at some point, but it wasn't a freak injury. It was just a shoulder tweak. It was that was the most frustrating thing. He didn't punch anything. He didn't fall off any bikes. I don't think he ever fell off any bikes, but he didn't say he did. And that's a downer, but Trevor Story will return. Adam Duvall will return. So I think there are some things to look forward to when it comes to this season.